Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Whoa. You guys are back again and you're not subscribed? You're not liking this video? All right, you made me do it. Stop, these guys aren't subscribed.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that guy in the back, that chick in the back, they're not subscribed.
Hey, man, why are you not subscribed?
You better subscribe to this channel and like the bottom. Yep. And you too.
Yeah,
all right.
That guy over there too.
I was looking, he wasn't doing nothing. I don't know what the hell's going on. Welcome back to the channel. I'm George.
I'm Stav.
Today we're going to be talking about the RS3, the last pieces of the puzzle that came in for this build. Some really goodies, clutch, flywheel, where they came from, why we opted to, again, use the same components as we were using before with the old 5-cylinder setup. Hardware components in the engine, some new things that came in from California. I know we don't like to brag about too much about the goodies from California, but some goodies actually arrived today that we ordered about, I don't know, beginning of the year, last year, that we've been waiting for a while, that due to the shutdown, this stuff wasn't being made and wasn't being done, and we were just on a back waiting list waiting for this stuff to be made, and I'll showcase that as the video progresses. So without further ado, guys.
Because George realized, basically, that the 24 valve is so weak, he had to make some hardware changes.
I got nothing. I'm just going to continue with this video. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and we got a really cool episode here for you. Thank you again for all the support. Thank you guys for subscribing and liking. The likes on the videos in the past 3 weeks have been absolutely amazing. I think we've been cracking 1,000 likes on all the videos, so thank you guys again. And for those of you guys that are just coming here for the first time, if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, but it does support this channel and help us do what we need to do in order to progress forward with these cars. So thank you again. Let's kick off this video. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about the head studs first. As you guys know, or even if you don't, the stock 3.2 head bolts are exactly 10 millimeter. All right, not really ideal for holding down large gobs amount of boost. The 2.8s naturally come with 11 mil off the back, a little bit thicker, but as you get bigger in displacement, 3.2, you go up to about a 10 mil on the 3.2 liter, and even as low as 9 to 8 mil on the 3.6 liter VR6s. So, stock head bolts. We opted originally to go and drill up to an 11 mil tool steel stud from DP.
Tooled steel, you'd like to say.
Tooled steel, yeah, there you go. Just like Stav said. The cool thing about these is rather from the size, the material that they use, the tool steel, is just absolutely phenomenal. It's super strong. But we have seen people with the RS3s, in some cases some other motors with 11 mil studs, still lift heads with a lot of the power and the cylinder pressure they're going to be seeing. Especially guys that are looking to run nitrous in their cars. Mind you, this is still a pretty thick stud, and they go for a pretty penny, but we wanted to go with something a little bit more heavy duty. Mind you, we couldn't find a machine shop, not even DP wanted to make us something as large as a 1/2 inch tooled steel or 13 mil tooled steel head stud, so we went with the next obvious option, which was ARP's 1/2 inch telephone pole, aka this giant gargantuan stud. Just close to, just under 13 mils, 12.7, yeah. aka 1/2 inch. And this is going to help us maintain and make sure that that head is bolted securely down to the bottom of that block. This thing is super big. I compare it to the stock, all right? You can tell just how big it is. Look at the tolerance differences just on the sizing. Just absolutely huge.
And some people are going to say, like, even with the ARP, let's say standard size, they haven't really had issues, but I mean, we're also trying to go into a territory that a lot of people, you know, that say they don't have PALM are not running these to begin with.
Correct,
so,
and I'm running the ARP standard 11 mils, all right? So this version, but an 11 mil in my 2.8, but it never really saw more than 40 PSI. I didn't really do any drag racing with it. Never gonna run nitrous on that setup because it's just a street fun car. With the RS3, we do plan on doing a lot of drag racing just like we did before. The drivetrain, the 7-speed DSG transmission makes that possible. It's a reason why those cars are so fast. But now we're gonna be utilizing our own power plant, the VR6. So naturally we wanna go with a really gargantuan, huge head stud. It's gonna be able to keep that clamping force, keep that head down, bolted down to that motor, and just give us more peace of mind. You know, the main reason why I didn't wanna go with nitrous on the old 5-cylinder is because essentially this is the stud that it was using. An 11 mil, all right, ARP kind of 625 head stud, and guys were still lifting them on the 5-cylinder engines. Again, nitrous is still relatively new with the 5-cylinder Daza crowd on the RS3 world. People were lifting heads left and right. So I didn't want to take the chance. So we never ran nitrous. But the problem was we went with a nitrous-built cylinder head set up on the 5-cylinder. So we were losing a lot of potential, a lot of power, a lot of compression there. With the VR6, we don't have to worry about it. Now we can throw pretty much whatever we want at it. And we're going to be talking about some other combustion chamber upgrades we're going to be doing on the VR6 once we get the motor back from the machine shop.
And another main reason that we want to go with these half-inch head studs is because George and I are very unlucky in the fact that we don't have anybody in the West Coast that will do any of our machining for us. We're having to ship our motor back East Coast every time we have an issue now because those are the only shops we can trust and the only shops that are willing to do our upgrades. So we're trying to put every possible hardware we can think of to keep the cylinder head happy, the bottom end happy, and this is just another tool.
I mean, if we're drilling out the head studs anyway, we might as well go to the largest side
Correct.
that we can go and give ourselves a lot more peace of mind.
And these are giant.
Yeah, those are.
Of course, you will never make boost enough to lift these, but it's great to do this.
Right. Because what? 12 valve, right?
12 valve is the greatest. Yes, we know this.
So head studs, they are from ARP. We will post a link of where we got them from. They're only provided by one shop who had them custom made over ARP, and you can buy them. There's a link also on eBay. You can also get them as well. So we'll put that in the description. For those of you guys with 3.2 liter VRs looking to get the half-inch head stud, check that out in the description as soon as you guys get a chance. So another thing I wanted to talk about that came in, obviously you guys know we had LOL 8-cylinder, as a joke, just to poke some fun on the old RS3 plates. We liked it. It was really funny. We got a chance to poke some fun, but it also kind of gave an idea of what kind of performance was to gain by the RS3 and the kind of cars that it was taking out initially in its first release and even now. It's a huge sleeper. It's Audi's first hot rod in God knows how long, and it's a huge competitor and player at the drag strip at the half mile. So
and honestly, these plates got a lot of good reaction from people. A lot of V8 guys are coming over like, oh man, that thing is so fast. I didn't expect it, so,
Yeah, so we did it as kind of like a novelty item, as a joke, and it's kind of a way to poke fun. On my older S4, I had LOL M Power to kind of poke fun at BMW, even though, again, I used to own a BMW back in the day. I had no problems with BMWs. We just do it again just as a poke fun, bust some chops in the car world to have a good time. Now,
is that why you don't use turning signals?
So, as a joke, we ended up, Stav had the idea to just write the number 5 on a piece of tape when we started off the VR6 swap and tease it, and put that on there as a joke. Now, California inevitably 100% shut down during the COVID, during all the craziness. So we ended up ordering LOL 5-cylinder plates last year, the beginning of this year, end of last year. And about 6 to 7 months later, it finally arrived. So we get to retire the LOL 8-cylinder plate on the RS3, and in comes in the LOL 5-cylinder. Again, no hate intended. It's just meant to poke some fun. Obviously, the RS3 has a VR6 now, has our own engine. It's going to have our own setup, so we're kind of really proud of that. And we just, again, want to continue with the good old-fashioned having fun with our friends, having fun with family, poking some fun on the internet. So those of you guys that are watching this, please don't get upset. Don't take this the wrong way. Don't think you're being, betrayed in any way. It's just us having a good time. If we end up picking up a V10 R8 and 6-cylinder swapping, we'll be doing LOL V10 maybe in the future. But like I said, guys, this is just meant to poke a little bit of fun. So new plates came in from California. Thank you. California seems to be reopening, which is a good thing, and changing kind of its direction where it's going. So thank you again. These plates finally just arrived today. We're going to be slapping them on the car. Won't be racing any 5-cylinders, still the built motors in there, but just a kind of cool novelty item to have in the car and get some laughs and have a little bit of fun with everybody. Okay, so guys, enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it on the car, but I thought it was pretty funny. One thing I want to talk about a little bit more intimately, Dima over at DCT, from the beginning of our channel when we started racing with the RS3 and having some fun, has been a huge supporter. They were one of the first ones, aside from Datsun, to really make aftermarket clutches for the RS3 and TTRS, and actually put time to develop them and improve them, reinforce them. And, we ran them in the RS3, had a great time. They came out with flywheel center upgrades for the RS3 for the 5-cylinder flywheel setup. And the cool thing about us using the RS3 transmission still is we're using the same type of flywheel, except now with a different center on it. So the 5-cylinder Daza RS3 TTRS engine has an 8-bolt flywheel, 8-bolt configuration on the crank. The VR6 has a 10-bolt. So when we got the VR6 version of this flywheel with 10 bolts, but it had the plates, and I'll put a screenshot for you guys to see it, we were faced with the same dilemma that the 5-cylinder community was facing, that the plates would break under heavy acceleration, launching, making big power. So we needed a way to get the same upgrade that Dima and his team over at DCT make for the RS3 and the DQ500. And we sent them over a stock DQ500 VR6 flywheel out of the newer Volkswagens, and he was able to make us a billet center reinforcement kit for all the racing we're going to be doing. So now we're not going to worry about the center plates breaking. We're not going to worry about any issues. And now we can confidently make the power that we need to make to go compete and go have fun, make some power, not worry about the flywheel coming apart as the 5-cylinder guys do before they upgrade. So huge thank you out to DCT and Dima and his team there for not only, you know, supporting obviously with badass clutches for both the 5-cylinder and now the VR6 setup, for them actually taking on and supporting the DQ500 VR6 swap. As you guys know, we are using the RS3 stock transmission with the VR. So these components now will help anyone pretty much do a VR6 swap and will support big power. So for a company to take a chance and make something for the VR, and I hear this is one of their #1 sellers now, a lot of people are reaching out, end up picking this stuff up. It's really cool.
But it's not just for a VR6 swap. Anybody that has a DQ500 swap too, because this would be that already has a VR6.
Correct.
Like
any chassis that's
like,
running a VR DQ500, doesn't matter if it's RS3, TTRS, A3, could be a Mark IV R32. You can run this upgraded flywheel and do it confidently without having to worry about breaking stuff. Now we're going to be testing this product too. So we're going to be putting it to the test with all the drag racing. If there's any improvements that need to be made, we're going to document that here. Dima said he's fully on board to support, which is amazing. You know, we have that support from DCT, and we thank him again. But another nice added touch is the Malaka MotorSports etching. You know, that adds what, you know,
6 horsepower?
6 horsepower, you know, at least per letter, at least, to the flywheel, which is kind of cool. And then he threw on his DCT and his DCT Clutch. So it's kind of cool that he threw on there. And then, of course...
But before we go on...
What?
I want to show this clutch has the best looking logo ever.
What do you mean?
Well, if you see it up top, there's a picture of a really good looking guy wearing sunglasses. I'm not going to say who that is. Probably me.
Look at that. So it's kind of cool that Dima was kind enough. He asked us for our logo file and he etched it onto this clutch, which adds another personal touch to this car aside from us VR6 swapping the RS3 and the new HD 1400 kit. Again, for all the big power and all the stuff that we want to do with these cars, we're looking forward to running these clutches and flywheel combo now in the VR6 with the built motor. Right now, the RS3 is utilizing stock clutch pack.
Correct.
And a stock VR6 flywheel, so we haven't done any launching on that. We didn't want to take any chances. But now with this HD 1400 kit, they're reinforced billet flywheel kit. We really feel confident about making the power and then getting it put down to the ground to get some nice drag times and some nice half-mile times. And
what's it called? And the 5-cylinder community is only using the 1300, correct? Like at the max.
Correct. Yeah.
This is a prototype kit because VRs make more power.
we did reach out to Dima and we did mention a few concerns with making a lot more wheel torque and making a lot more power than a lot of the 5-cylinder guys that are out there. When I say a lot of the 5-cylinder guys, I mean customers like me, people that don't own shops, people that own these cars privately, are not making 13, 14, 1500 wheel with 1000 wheel torque or 900 wheel torque. There's going to be limits. The transmission, there's going to be limits that we're going to be breaking things on there, gear sets that we're going to have to find out and replace and upgrade. So when we, expressed these concerns to Dima, he said, well, let's prototype maybe a new reinforced clutch kit. So on the inside of this clutch cover, and I'm going to pop this cover off so you guys can see it here in a second. I'm going to show you. All right, so we pop the ring off. Real easy to pop off. Take the cover off. Now you don't see much. Everything looks pretty OEM aside from all the upgraded discs that you see around. We're going to take off the centerpiece. And this is where the magic happens. So the HD 1400 now has this billet ring reinforcement that's all the way around. And you can actually see it right there. You see that? Now this is an added ring that's spot welded onto the inner cast of that inner basket that comes apart with a lot of the high-end power RS, TTRS cars that are out there. So right now no one offers a billet basket for these things. So the next best thing is reinforcing the inner casing of this clutch kit, which is beyond cool. Again, we never had the 5-cylinder making the power to kind of take these baskets apart. But after seeing 2, 3, 4, 5 of them fail at the big power level, all that wheel torque that the high-end drag setup RS3s are making, it was opted to reinforce this basket with this ring, and DCT went above and beyond with offering this HD 1400 kit, which now allows for more wheel horsepower, more wheel torque to hold, and be able to cars to go faster in the quarter mile and the half mile. So
the idea is that there's a billet cover. This is still a cast cover. It's using the original OEM cover.
Correct.
So this upgrade is, because you can always make a basket, but it would add a lot to the cost of the clutch. adding this little ring probably adds a small charge to it.
Yeah, correct. It's an added option. Again, it's not something that comes standard, but not everyone's making 1,000+ horsepower on these cars and on the DQ500 setups. So you can request it from Dima and his team, and it's not a problem. You can reach out to him. For those of you guys doing VR6 DQ500 swaps, just let them know you want the HD 1400 with the reinforcement, just like what the Malakas have in their car. Again, this is, a prototype setup. We're going to be testing in this car and having a lot of fun with. But this is more added reinforcement to make sure these little teeth, these little legs on the inside don't come apart with all the added torque and all the added abuse. So it's kind of cool that DCT, even just offering upgraded clutch packs, now with a billet cover to make sure that the stock cover doesn't come apart, which it used to, now with the billet casing, now with the reinforcement on the inside of the case, we're pretty much guaranteed to have a solid car and a better chance at survival when we're going racing. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Again, the big concern on the RS3 driveline is axles, all right? Drive shaft, all right, rear diff sometimes, depending on what you have upgraded, and then clutch and flywheel. Again, with the flywheel, we have the billet center upgrade, and now we have that on the VR6 too. So anybody with a DQ500, RS3 transmission swap, let's say they could put it in a Mark 1 Volkswagen or whatever car they want. They have this option now. It's available off the shelf. And it's kind of cool that these companies are still supporting, VR6 engine that's been out for God knows how many years, and now supporting the RS3 VR6 swap and the TTRS. There's a couple guys in Europe that are pioneering the TTRS RS3 VR6 swap kind of thing too. So it's kind of cool to see not just us, but there's quite a few people that are yanking these 5 cylinders and throwing VR6s in. So I'm just going to throw this casing back on. And again, there's not a reason we have to open up the inner baskets, right? But the only time the cover comes off is during the install. And when we do the built motor, we'll showcase the install, show you guys what tools we're using, and show you guys what we need to do. But we're just going to throw the cover back on for now. And again, when it's time for the built motor here in the next couple of weeks, we're going to end up installing this badass clutch and flywheel kit and getting it in the car. A quick update on the inside of the RS3. We ended up cleaning up a few things on the harness, adding some wiring to cylinder 1 and 2 for the signal wires that seem to be giving us a little bit of an issue, so we rewired those. Or better yet, Stav said that he was going to knock it out, so he ended up taking care of it for us, so he wired it in. We ended up wrapping the harness just for now to kind of clean it up, to give that loose, lengthy wire with all the zip ties. That kind of look is kind of out the window.
Before we get any hate comments about how ugly the harness is, this is a test harness. We are making a new harness.
Wait, you're making a new harness?
Correct. We're going to be relocating the whole Cyvex ECU inside the car. So all the ECUs will be inside the car.
Okay, and then if you can, for those that are just watching this video now for the first time, if you can update them, why did we just make a test harness rather than trying to make one really legit from the beginning?
Because first off, I didn't know if I could even make this harness.
Correct.
Second off, we didn't know what would work, what would communicate with the ECU, with the dash. Now that everything is working as it should, the car is running and driving. 24 valve, I guess. But as long as it's running and 24 valve. But as long as it's running and driving, we now know that it works and verified. All the setups, the configs are done. We can relocate the ECU, make an extension harness, and try to go fast. I don't know. Try.
So Stav was going to be working on. So what he's talking about, locating everything inside the engine bay. The Cyvex conversion for the plug-and-play ECU that they have for the 5-cylinder setup, it's literally about less than a foot away from the manifold and the turbo. It's a lot of heat that builds up. For those that don't know, on the inside the RS3 and the TTRS, the engine bay inside these cars is like a damn oven. It literally cooks. And there's no pusher fans in the front of the radiator. There's nothing, right? There's only puller fans that pull all that hot air inside that bay, and it's literally like a heat blower that blows it straight into the car. So this, on the inside of the engine bay, it gets ridiculously hot. And initially when we went Cyvex last year with the 5-cylinder, when it was early 2020 when I picked up the car, man, during some hot summers, and I live in a very hot place. Right now it's 108 degrees outside, even at night here in Lancaster, California. It's just as hot as Vegas. We ended up having some heat issues where the ECU just was getting overheated. And I didn't think, I don't think anyone realized that the stock location for the ECU was protected by giant plastic boxes. We're insulated here deep in the corner, all the way in the back. And the Cyvex ECU, actually with the 5-cylinder, was actually located all the way here in the back. So believe it or not, it's even further away from the engine with the VR6 since I have it mounted here. But even then, I still don't want it in the bay. So when Stav's talking about moving everything, we're going to be moving everything from the OEM connection to the Syvex conversion little piece here to the Syvex ECU inside the engine bay. So we're going to be inside the cabin. So pretty much that's going to be either in the glove box or underneath. Number one, it's going to lead for cooler temperatures. B, it's going to lead for quicker access and easier access to the ECU.
And it's going to clean up the whole engine bay and leave us more room, because we were able to remove the injection box that comes with the Syvex, the direct injection box.
Correct,
so,
yeah.
So now we have less ECUs in the engine bay, but now we're just going to make everything cleaner and more streamlined.
And it's going to give us a lot more room for goodies too. Look at all that space that we can make whatever we want with.
And then on top, of course, we could put the nitrous solenoids that we may be using. But also, if we ever have an issue, it'll be easier to diagnose when it's in the glove box.
Yeah, correct. So, Stav, I ended up buying a separate RS3 TTRS harness, technically an RS3 harness. So, Stav already knows what he needs to depin, repin, clean up. Now we're going to work on, as soon as we pull the engine here in the next 3-4 weeks, he's going to work on extending this inside the dashboard to the back of that glove box, and then making sure everything works, making sure everything communicates before. But that was the hardest part, right? We wanted to make sure, number one, this car drove. As people said, it would take 5 years for it to even fire up, and they said it would never drive, never go fast. So here we are 10 months later. The car's running and driving. Rolling anti-lag works. It's boosting. We're throwing boost at it. The dashboard inside works, as you guys saw in the last video that we posted.
One of the things you didn't want when you did the swap is to lose the comforts that we have in the VR6 B5s. Some people don't even have dashes working, let alone.
Correct.
We wanted to make sure that everything worked. You didn't just want to build a swap car that just didn't work. The fuel level sensor didn't work. Everything runs and drives as it should. And maybe even better than it did with the 5-cylinder.
Well, that was the whole point, right? So we wanted to utilize, it had to electronically work. Why? Because the transmission is electronically powered. It's a DSG 7-speed. If we couldn't get that working, this whole swap, this whole build would have been scrapped. There was no point in doing it. That 7-speed transmission is the money maker, is the magic in these cars. That's it. There's no argument about it. People who build these cars, people who know these cars, know it's exactly to be true. If you have a really cool billet lawnmower engine, you can attach it to this transmission and make some power, you'd go fast. The transmission is fucking magic. So we figured might as well put our own motor that we wanted to, have some fun, wire it up, and have a good time. So that aside, it's running and driving. Been driving it every day to work. It's been amazing. Despite the heat, I'm still driving it. Putting plenty of motors on this setup. Plenty of
miles.
Miles.
So how many motors you putting? How many motors you putting?
Oh man, I'm on my 8th motor, man.
824 miles a week.
So we're putting plenty of miles on this setup, which I'm really excited about. Driving the car around, it's really enjoyable. Ended up going to a local car show. That's really cool. Again, stock 3.2 internal motor. I'm not looking to make a lot of power with the stock setup, but when the built motor comes in, Stav will throw a little bit more boost at it. We'll make a video, maybe even doing some launch control. And having some fun, if we could break some clutches or tear out or wear out some clutches.
The rolling anti-lag is working. You said you tested it out the other day.
The 9 PSI added. So maybe when we want, we could throw 9 pounds of boost, baby.
That's a lot for a 24 valve.
So guys, those are the updates on the car, on the hardware as we guys showed you before. Now we're ready to just wrap everything up, send everything off to the machinist. And for those of you guys that have been emailing, messaging us, hitting us up on Instagram, asking us which machine shop we're going to be using, we're going to be using Force Fed over in New York. Ed, who made the turbo manifold on my B5, who's helped us out a lot in guiding us, giving us a heads up on what to use, what not to use, giving us guidance. Ended up doing work on Stav's cylinder head. The work was absolutely phenomenal. The guy did a great job.
Great customer service.
Quick turnaround. So, Ed, get ready. Got a pallet coming your way, bud. Should leave this week, hopefully, now that we have the head studs, which was literally, man, was the last thing that we were waiting on these stuff. If I was going to send the motor halfway across the country back to my home state, New York, for machining, I was going to make sure I was going to get the biggest and most heavy-duty stud that I could. So, Ed, you got some Feta coming your way, and we're going to have some fun getting this stuff machined. And, like I said, we're going to be doing some combustion chamber upgrades to the VR6 that you normally don't see online, that you normally see in big turbo, big boost diesel applications. And we're so excited to bring that to you and talk to you guys about it, what we're going to be pioneering and working with and having fun with the VR6 here in the United States, along with the RS3 being the first VR6 swap car ever. We're doing some things to the VR6 that we're really proud of, and we're really looking forward to making some power and going fast with the car.
Super excited.
Super excited. So guys, I'm sorry there's no revving, there's no driving in this video, but nonetheless, this is part of our journey. We wanted to give you guys an update, let you guys know what's going on in the background, what we're working on, and what's happening. So right now, motor's shipping out this week. Right now, it's Sunday at like 10 o'clock at night. This video is going to go out tomorrow, Monday morning. And hopefully we'll have the motor to Ed by the end of this week, beginning of next. And then maybe we can get some footage of him actually doing some of the machine work out there. So I'm really excited. Maybe I can send him a GoPro or something, and maybe he can film the 3.2 getting machined, these head studs getting bored out and getting cleaned out and getting kind of set up. And maybe some of the balancing stuff he's doing for the inside of the internals. Maybe we can get that. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Thank you guys for all the love, the comments, the feedback, the interaction. The DMs have been, man, you guys, when we said send us a few memes on Instagram, man, we had about a couple hundred people send us Volkswagen and Audi memes. We're going to be sharing those on our Instagram at Malaka MotorSports, so check those out. But guys, thank you so much again. And for those of you guys in the back that are beginning this video, you didn't subscribe and hit that subscribe. We got a lot of exciting things coming to this channel. Now that things are kind of happening with the RS3, Stav actually took a huge break working on his B5 and doing B5 stuff to help me out with the RS3, to wire it up, to work on the pinning stuff, work with Cyvex.
Because I realized, as a 24-valve owner, you needed as much help as you can get.
Till then, I'm George.
I'm Stav.
Thank you again for watching here at Malaka Motorsports, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.